Okay, let's go to Houston and see if we have any questions there, please.
Gina Sinceri, ABC News. Let me give this to Mr. Gerstenmaier. I'm stuck asking the question, did you ever consider moving the launch off April 29th, since it conflicts with an event that's not happening in this country, but it's happening overseas?
The frank answer is no. I didn't realize when the wedding was until date, and we moved the date essentially because we needed to deconflict with the progress. And we wanted to gave us a reasonable number of attempts before we arranged conflicts, and that's how we set on the 29th. Set that date independently, and then as I was setting the date, somebody called me and told me about the wedding, and that was a consideration. But you know, we work beta constraints and we work launch range constraints. I haven't yet put on our manifest charts wedding constraints, so we didn't factor that into our thinking.
Mark Carreau from the Houston Chronicle. I have a station-related question. If I recall correctly, you had a remote power controller issue on the starboard truss, I think, at the end of last week or the beginning of this week. And I just wondered if that has any ramification at all for plugging in the AMS?
No, it doesn't. It powers some of the rotary thermal joint activities and an MDM, an S1 MDM. And I think I just got a page prior to coming here that they actually reset that, and it reset with no overcurrent. So I think we're in good configuration. We discussed that pretty extensively at the review, and it wasn't going to be impacted to any of our future operations. And then I think last night we lost a camera RPC, and it looked like that was an actual short. We saw a high current event, so we'll just leave it's for a camera heater, and we'll just leave the camera powered, and it'll provide enough heat to keep it warm. So I think the RPC, the remote power control module we talked about, Mark, it will not be an impact to us, and it looks like at least it was resolved today. And it wouldn't have been even if it wasn't resolved. We had plenty of time to go work the issue.
Okay, we're back at Kennedy Space Center with.
This is Greg Pallone, News 13. This is can you think of any fitting tribute for Endeavour as it being the youngest orbiter? Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of Endeavour and the fact that it essentially replaced Challenger? Are there any thoughts in your head where you would think of some words to describe Endeavour and its missions that accomplished on it?
Let's see. For me, you know, it's the engineering answer, but we're still focused on the mission. So to me, the best tribute to Endeavour right now is to go get it launched next week and get it into orbit and let it go finish out and finish strong here with the mission to station. And then when it comes back, then I'll talk about what it meant and what it's done. It's a pretty big career. They gave us a packet on the way over here, and I didn't even have a chance to read some of the history firsts that it's done since it's been delivered here, and being the ship. You know, so maybe Mike has some thoughts about having worked with it a little more hands-on, but I don't mean to take the cheesy answer out, but we're kind of holding on reflecting until we're done, and so we won't be done for a couple more weeks yet with Endeavour.
I've been working with Endeavour since she arrived here. I was the NASA test director for her first flow when we did a flight readiness firing out the launch pad and tested out the MPS system and the main engines, and then the launch, of course. So I've been with Endeavour for and like Dana Hutcherson, flow director for 105, and I went out to the pad and went looking around and just reflecting a little bit. There are a lot of wings of Endeavour still look almost brand new. I mean, the top of the wings, the blankets on the wings still look like they just came out of the factory. And so for me, it's like retiring a friend early, but it's a good friend, and so we're going to get a good mission off just like that, and we're going to do the engineering, all the engineering work on this last flight like we did on the first flight. No changes there. And again, we'll be able to reflect after she lands and brings her crew home safely that that was her final mission.
And when I look at this mission, I think a little bit about the AMS, and this is a pretty unique payload that's going to space station now. You know, we don't typically, you know, a payload that takes much of the cargo bay AMS does. Essential science that it can understand dark matter that lives in the universe and to understand these unique high-energy particles that are out. It's going to be tremendously important. So when I see Endeavour flying this instrument to space station, this is a pretty unique mission to kind of close out Endeavour's career. It's not your run-of-the-mill kind of missions. This is a unique chance to see this vehicle carry a very unique science instrument to space that has the potential of returning earth-shattering to us.
Aside from all the stuff that's happened with the shuttle on this mission, there is that added public interest, of course, in Mark Kelly being commander and the story of that he the last few months. Can you talk a little bit about what a roller coaster that's been for the crew, really, and how they've come through that and worked together to get to this point ready to launch?
Yeah, I can't talk in any specifics, but I will tell you that, again, the crew has just done a tremendous job of staying on focus and being trained and ready to go. You know, we were originally to fly on this day, April 19th, and the crew was ready to go meet that date. They were fully trained. They had completed all their training activities, and then when we slipped to launch 10 days, they got to go ahead and hone some skills and move some more things. But again, I will tell you, it's a test to the entire crew to stay focused, to analyze, and to do what they need to do for this mission. When you see the EVAs and the space, these are not trivial spacewalks at all, especially the one with the ammonia servicing and ammonia refilling is a big task, and Mark will play a role in kind of watching over that task to watch the spacewalkers as they go do those EVA tasks and kind of be the conductor and an overall commander. And so a key role in all that. He's also plays a key role, obviously, in the ascent and entry. Done a good job of being trained with all that. So the thing is that they've been able to work together as a team, and they're about ready to go fly, and that's good.
Marcia?
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press, possibly for either the two mics. Special accommodations being taken now, or any plan in case Congresswoman Giffords can attend the launch as her husband hopes? And do you expect that to be a distraction for your teams on launch day?
Launch team perspective, it's a separate team working. I'm not, to be honest. I've turned that over to other people, let them take care of that so I can focus on the countdown and the launch team. Comes, but I don't know if she will or not.
Yeah, this is a dumb question, but I've been asked last week about Readiness, so I'm hoping one of you guys will explain it anymore. Endeavour, California, instead of bringing it back here. Why do you have to bring it back here?
You mean for a plan the landing in California?
Yeah.
Because it'll be full of all kinds of stuff that haven't been fired yet. Hypergalls in the OMS and RCS system, hypergalls in the APUs, hydraulic fluid all over the place. You know, it's not something that you'd hand over to the public in that configuration. So we need to bring it home here to safe it. We don't have the facilities to do that out in California.
James?
James Dean with Florida Today. Two follow-up questions. Any consideration of Atlantis landing in California on its flight in purpose to give it a farewell tour flight? Personally.
And again, I will tell you what I've asked the team to do is I want us to make these last flights as much as normal flights as we can. So we didn't plan to do anything. The weather tell us where we're going to go land. We'll do the normal mission planning the way we are. I didn't want to interfere with the team planning. You know, we spent a long time, many years, you know, honing the way we do flight rules, honing procedures, the way we do plans, and I wanted all flights to be done as much just like the ones we've done before as the ones that are at the end. So we made no special accommodations for that. In fact, I was asked, should we do that? I told them I did not want to do what you suggested. I wanted to make mission let us do the +2 weather day planning stuff just like we normally do and treat it just like a normal flight, but the conditions and the flight rules drive us to as we move forward.
Yeah, just one more from me that I meant to ask earlier to Gerst. The business of the leading edges and the temperature constraints that you went back and reevaluated, which way was the error made? Was it you had less margin than you thought, or you had more than you thought? And I was just curious how that played out.
The model under-predicted what we would see at launching it late in the window. So in other words, it was warmer in the actual case we flew than the models would have predicted.
But it wasn't anywhere near what the actual constraint really is.
No, it didn't. There was plenty of capability in the vehicle beyond what it design standpoint. Showed us was our certification analysis. If we would have counted on that, wasn't exactly done and wasn't done correctly. And then what's important for that is it's not just this case. Then you want to look at transatlantic aborts. You want to look at all the other scenarios to make sure that there's not something from a certification standpoint that we missed now that we found this model error. So it was a real tribute to the team that they saw this and it surprised them. And then they just didn't just pass it off. They actually kept looking to see what that would mean to make sure that we are really certified for all conditions that we expect to fly.
Put up with a question from James Dean.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just wondering if you could discuss a little further these extension days, a couple on the last flight and a couple more probable here. It seems like to kind of underscore shuttle's ending and got to just cram everything we can into these final missions. Are you doing it because you can, or do these things really actually need to get done in a way that's different from, what happened 10 missions ago, what you had a plan?
And I can, Mike can add a little bit too. What's happening with Space Station is, we have 17 vehicles that go into station during this period. So this is a very busy time on Space Station. So that takes a lot of time for the crew away to handle the ATV docking and departure, the HTV docking and departure, progresses that are coming and going, the Soyuz, et cetera. So the crew doesn't have as much, and we're also trying to focus on research and do a lot of research. So what these shuttle flights are allowing us to do, for example, our oxygen generation system, we have a new a system we'd like to put in there that will control the acidity or the pH of the loop into the oxygen generation system. The current filter we have causes too high a delta pressure. We can't run the pumps. Low pressure system we would like to install. That's about a 4 or 5 hour task to go do that and install that. We would like to do that one of these extension days so we can get the shuttle team along with the station team to go put that in, and we can get the oxygen generation system then fully up and ready to go support. If it doesn't occur during this mission and we can't do it, then we can push it off to the increment. The station crew can do it later, but then it'll take some time away from research. So what we're trying to do is we're identifying tasks that really help station end up in a much better configuration. So we're taking advantage of that extra workforce that comes up with the shuttle to really take advantage of these items. And that's why those 2 days are pretty doggone important. And if you look at the actual tasks we're putting in, they're not trivial tasks. They're high priority tasks that we're going to have to do probably in the next month or two. And this allows us to get ahead with those tasks.
Okay. I think that wraps it up. We really appreciate you coming today. Just wanted to remind you that STS-134 activities begin in earnest again here on NASA television 1 week from today, April 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with a pre-countdown status briefing. The STS-134 flight crew arrives here at Kennedy Space Center at 12:15 that day, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the countdown officially picks up, all leading toward launch on at 3:47 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can keep up with all the activities on our website at www.nasa.gov/shuttle. Thank you very much.